Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Zach. Here we talk about overlanding gear, builds, DIY, all sorts of stuff related to modifying your vehicle, getting out there, adventuring in the outdoors. I do a lot of projects on this channel, and I do a lot of installs myself, and today is going to be no exception. Today we're going to be adding a really nice creature comfort to the vehicle. In this case, I'm doing a Toyota 4Runner install of the N2 Designs remote starter kit. So I'm going to be doing the normal key fob install kit for I think they call it a G key. I don't know if it's slightly different for a push start, but this is for one of those physical keys. But follow along, maybe there's some things that are similar. I also am putting the cellular module in as well, so that's like an additional step on top of the G key. So yeah, we're gonna get through all of that. A big shout out to 4Runner Lifestyle for supporting the channel. They sent out that Rome 105 liter case that I've been using in my DIY setup. Go check that out if you're interested. I think it's a really sweet setup. It's like perfect for daily driving people that use their 4Runner for weekend trips and fun, but still have to drive it to work every day during the week. So go check that video out. I'll have it up in the top somewhere. And yeah, we're gonna do a little unboxing. I'm just gonna tell you what some of the cables do that come with the module, and then we're gonna get right into installing it, because it's maybe a 2 to 3 hour install job if you know what you're doing, 4 to 5 if this is your first time taking off your dash. But overall, it's definitely an approachable project, and they give you good instructions, and now there's multiple people with videos out there. So, you know, check out my video, but also go check out some of the other ones like Viking's Garage. He did a really good install video as well, which I'll be fully transparent, I watched because I was hoping I could, you know, get some little tips from him on how to do this install, and I'll add some things along the way. So let's jump into the unboxing, and then we'll get into the install. All right, I'm gonna quickly show you what comes in the box when you order this N2 Designs remote starter kit. So I've already unpackaged some of the things just to kind of look into it myself. But there's a couple harnesses that come with it. And then in addition to the couple harnesses, we've got a couple of different blocks. So this block right here is our cell phone module. This is what basically allows us to access this via our cell phone. This has like registration numbers to, you know, connect it to a cell phone plan, all that sort of stuff. And then we've got the cable for it right here, which I've just plugged into it to make it easy for me to remember. Now, a couple more harnesses come with it. So we've got this harness right here. And from my understanding, this harness is what we use to plug into the steering wheel itself. So we're gonna pull off the cover around the steering wheel. This is the one that has this black ground cable coming off of it. This end we're going to plug in next to kind of all of the other plugs, and then these we'll use on a port that's on the steering wheel right now. I'll show you that a little bit later. And then this right here is a large harness that we use, I believe, to plug into the ECU port. And then it also has this little plug-in down at the OBD2 side. And then these little plugs here are what will plug in to our actual little control box right here. So this actually, sorry, will plug into the N2 thing. So this big plug plugs in right here. And then on this harness that's got the OBD2 stuff and the ECU plug, this one, these three little plugs plug in on here. These two, this spot right here, just for this plug. And then on this side, we've got these red and white, which will plug into there. And then right here, this little blue port is where this will plug in, my cell phone module. And then I believe this is like an extension button of this program button right here. I can't seem to find it in the instructions, but I'll bring it up later to kind of clarify that. So, all right, we've got everything here now. We just got to jump over to the vehicle and start taking stuff apart. I will just mention quick before we do that, if we come in here, a couple of these pages are helpful. They walk through sort of how to remove some of the plastics, how to remove stuff around the steering wheel. And then once we start getting back here, it shows you sort of some of the plugs we need to actually get to. So there's a OBD2 connector, we've got the ECU, ignition harness. These are all the things we need to expose. And then there's the spot where we need to T-tap. So we just got to take apart some things, and then it's got this nice diagram right here which shows where everything needs to be plugged in. So the different harnesses plug into the N2 Designs control box or whatever you want to call that, module sort of thing. And then all the harnesses come off of that and plug into the corresponding places. So, all right, we've got a couple of pictures on here though. Let's get over to the vehicle, start taking everything apart. What we're gonna do, grab the key here. I turn the car on. I'm gonna loosen up these screws here. Got one. We'll do two. Likely because the plug is on this side of the steering wheel, we're going to want to leave it oriented in this fashion. So that way we've got plenty of room on that side to access everything. I'm going to see here. All right, so we're gonna pop this little door out here on the dash. Got to pull that screw, and we got to pull some stuff under here. So I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Gotta get under this step trim here. Okay, so now this right here. So there's this awkward screw. It's like a plastic screw that somehow I think threads onto, see it right here. Kind of hard to show you, but just this black like plastic cover sort of screw, and it goes right over, right in here next to the foot pedal area. So that holds this piece of plastic in. And then now the rest is, I think, just a clip. All we gotta do is get a decent handle on it. Pull on it a bit, it should come out. So as you can see right here, there's this little silver clip. This kind of sticks to the rubber, and it hooks into this piece of plastic right here on the bottom. So if we zoom out a little bit here, this is where that screw was. We've got one clip up there, and we've got this clipping into this piece of rubber here. So again, just kind of be gentle, slowly work it out. It'll come out. Did I break anything? I don't think so. Okay, well, that was a little spooky. Yeah, I guess you just grab on the two sides here, and I put my thumbs here. Maybe don't pull quite as hard as I did, but I don't think we broke anything. So that's good. All right, set that aside. There's a cover on the top here. We can just lift that up. It's connected to some fabric, so I just kind of lifted it. All right, now what we got to do is, there's a plug right here, big cream plug. We're gonna unplug that, but let's first get the rest of the dash off. So now that we got this cover off of here, all we got to do is pull that screw right there, which is at 10 mil. All right, and if you wanted to, you could do what I did. The seat is pretty easy to remove. It's like, you know, roughly 4 bolts and then a couple harnesses to unplug. It's not too bad. So if that's something you want to do, it's not too hard to do that. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, I've got a 10 mil socket. We're gonna remove a socket right here. There's a bolt right here. Then there's this bolt right over here. So pull that one out. So this part we actually have to take off too. I just remembered. I'll leave his channel down below. I watched the Vikings Garage video installing this. See these little tabs on this side? Those hook in to this piece of plastic that I just removed. Goes right there. So you have to take that off. So we've got the 2 bolts there. There's a couple clips on this side, and then there's this side of the plastic. So hopefully this just pops out. Doing my best to not have this airbag blow on me. There we go. Okay, we got it. So there's a bunch of clips that go into this airbag down here. So I think it might work to like push your thumb on the airbag to pull this plastic off around it. I'm not quite sure. That might have been what I would have done in retrospect. So we've got a couple of switches right here. We're going to unplug these now. All right, I'm going to try and film all these plugs in the best way that I know how. But right here, we've got this plug. And I'm going to try to get this unplugged. There we go. So I got that unplugged. And we're going to grab the harness associated with it. So what the photo tells me to do is take the open socket end of this harness. So this is the open socket end. As you can see, take that, plug it in to this. All right, that hooked. And we take this end, we plug this in. Just like that. I'll have to figure out how to tuck this up in here or something. And then I'm going to route this cable underneath here just so that it's in a decent place and I don't need to unhook it the moment that I program all this stuff to work. So that cable should be good. Here's the other end of it. This is the end we plug into the N2 designs. I'm going to try and film this. So these two were the plugs that were on the 2 switches. So let's just tuck those out of the way for now. This is the cable for my Switch Pros. Try and ignore that. So now we got to look in here. Up here is the blue wire we're going to be tapping into. So it's that upper blue one, the 5th down. And then the ECU. And then the ECU is that plug right there in the middle. So all I'm going based on is these photos. So there's the ECU plug. So right here it shows the middle plug, and then there's this big plug here. If we come back, there's that big plug, and then we go for the middle plug right here. So I haven't disconnected the battery. It didn't say to do that in the instructions, so I'm just going to disconnect it and plug it into the harness. All right, so I'll just give you one more angle because I was kind of shaky there. But so we've got this massive plug up in here. We've got 3 plugs in here. The ECU one should be the middle one. And then we've got these 2 massive plugs on the outside. This massive one on the outside, the upper one, there's a 5th blue wire, and that is what we're going to tap this green cable into. So we've got this T-tap, this green cable. That's what we're going to tap that into. But we also have this big harness here, and this is what we need to plug into the OBD2 and the, I think it's a 30-pin ECU, like controlling cable or something. I don't know what the cable's for, but in the instructions it's called ECU. So this is that end of the harness. On this end is the OBD2 stuff. This end is those. So what I'm gonna do, again, I'm gonna snake this up through here as if I was running it under. We're gonna grab this and unplug it. I'm gonna be careful. Try and not catch these wires up above, because these are all pretty small wires. I don't really want to yank on them. There we go. All right, so got that unplugged. We're gonna take that plug and push it into the female end of this harness. I'm gonna take the male end of the harness. We're gonna plug that back in there, just like this. There we go. Satisfying click. And I'm gonna grab this and I'm gonna zip tie this back up in place. I just don't want this harness to pull unnecessarily on those really tiny wires. That should provide some nice support for that. Just pulling that right up in there. All right, so your little OBD2 port is held in with these little tabs on either side. So I just pop that out. I'm gonna unplug this harness from the port. All right, so I lied. There's no cable plugged into the back of this. This is literally the harness. So all we do is we plug in that harness just like that. And then we plug the new OBD2 back in the old carrier spot on the frame. So do that. Got that mounted up in there, just like that. That's kind of rubbing on the parking brake a little, so I'm gonna try and put a zip tie around it as well. So this ground, I think this is a ground cable on here. Not quite sure, it's just this little dinky cable. It's kind of, I'd like it to be held up tighter next to this, so I'm gonna just add another little zip tie just to hold this little teeny part a little bit closer to the rest of it. All right, so got that. Clip that zip tie. Try and zoom out a little bit here. All right, so here is our harness plugging in the OBD2 and the ECU. So we've got this cable dangling here. We've got the cable from the steering wheel dangling right here. Still need to connect this ground cable somewhere on the frame. We need to make sure to pick a spot with bare metal, because if we don't, then it might not have a good ground contact. There's a screw point up in here that Viking's Garage used that was pretty slick, but can't tell if it's painted or not. All right, I'm shocked I can get a decent angle on this, but if you look inside there, see my socket? So if we try and get a better angle at that, there's the brake pedal. It's like right up in there, basically. Just a little bit above this fuse box here on the left. So I did the best I could at trying to show you all where it is. So I could only use just a socket to screw it in. I'm not going to probably use like an extension of any kind. But I had a random M6 by 1 bolt laying around. I threw a washer on it, and away we go. So I'll tighten that down, and then the last thing we got to do is a T-tap. So that's how it should tap it. So now I just want to make sure I don't catch any other wires, and I'm going to close this up for good. I like how that turned out. So there's our T-tap on the blue wire. The blue wire is actually on it's the 5th one down on the right side, but man, it like strings through and it's pretty tight. I tried to pick the best spot that put the least strain on the wire, and hopefully it doesn't pull out of the harness. But I like how that turned out. And then that wire will just dangle right down here. We'll plug it in. So once you squeeze these hard enough, they clip shut. That shouldn't go anywhere. So I unplugged this to put the T-tap in because it's just too hard to do it up there in place. Hopefully that doesn't cause any problems, but that's what I did. All right, so now we've got this green harness here included in the kit. Again, I'm gonna route this where I want it to come up through, and then we'll plug that right into the T-tap. So just like that. All right, and then these couple cables that plug into that power, stick that right here. And this stuff should all be plugged in correctly. Now we just got to program, but I guess I'll leave this tray down here still. You can disconnect down here. There's the hood latch. You can disconnect that and pull this plastic piece out, but it hasn't really gotten in the way, so I just left it. So, all right, so now we've got T-tap cable, steering wheel cable and ground, and then we've got the ECU and the OBD2 plug here. That's everything that we need. So now we are ready to program. All right, so first what we're gonna do is we're gonna plug this in right here. So we're gonna press the button and we're gonna hold it as we plug this in. And then it's gonna blink blue, yellow, red, blue, yellow, red, blue, yellow, red. Once it's a solid blue and red color, then we're gonna release. And if this isn't occurring, then what you do is you just unplug it and you restart. So we're gonna hold this down. All right, so we're gonna hold this down. We're gonna plug this in. Blue, red, yellow, blue, red. Blue, blue, red, yellow, blue and red, blue, red, yellow, blue and red. Okay, well, I just was repeating that a bunch of times. I think all you have to do is you just let it go blue, yellow, red, and then when it's blue and red, you stop holding the button. And I think it'll either cycle again or it'll just stop and it'll just be blue and red. So now it's just at solid blue and red. And I think maybe you only have to like hold it down for a teeny bit, but whatever. I held it down for a long time, nothing was happening, so I just let go and it was blue and red. Looks like we just insert the remaining connectors in no particular order, but I'm going to follow the order that's on the page. Not that it matters though, so it looks like I'm going to do the green wire harness, and then we're going to do the red plug on this side, and the white plug. All right, so I inserted all the remaining connectors. Now we're going to press and release the programming button twice. The red and blue LED will flash. So now it's flashing. Now we take our key and we're going to turn on the vehicle. Turn the ignition to the on/run position. The red and blue LEDs will flash rapidly 10 times. And then wait. The blue LED will flash rapidly. And that means the CAN bus is programmed. Six, 7, 8, 9. All right, the blue light is flashing rapidly. And then if we turn the vehicle off, the blue light should turn off. So now the module should be programmed. And it looks like this will only remote start if all of the doors are closed. So, guess we could do that now. Let's close all the doors. Let's see. Let's see if we can get this to start. So we press the lock button 3 times. It started. Sweet. That is awesome. And you press the 3 buttons again, and it will do the reverse to turn it off. So there we go. I guess we got it all installed. And so yeah, again, it's just like the beep, beep, beep sort of rhythm for the 3 buttons. So we'll unlock the vehicle, and I think we can get this all cleaned back up. But now I guess we would move on to the cellular installation. So if you got the cellular module, that's what I'm gonna do now. And if you didn't get that, then should be all good to go, and we just gotta assemble the vehicle. All right, well, I figured out what this is for. This button is called the valet mode button. So I think we're gonna need to use this. It says in all the big red letters here, before you start, to make sure that there's no red light blinking on the top, and then next to the program button, there's no red light. I think it must have to be a red solid light, but since this is blinking, I'm still a little worried that that needs to go away before we start this process. So I'm going to plug this in to there and route it, and then we're going to go ahead and plug it in, make sure it's not in valet mode. If it is on before you start, the red light right here, if it is on before you start, you can disable it by putting the key into the ignition, turn the key position, typically 2 clicks, then within 10 seconds of doing this, tapping the valet button, push the button with the 2 black wires 3 times in a row. Once the red light turns off, you're no longer in valet mode and can proceed with programming. Okay, so we're going to plug in the button on the back of this. It's got a small white harness plug. Now, like I said, what we do, take our key, okay, so 1, 2 clicks, and then within 10 seconds of doing this, click that 3 times. Now we are no longer in valet mode. So if we look on here, this red light is not on at all. I don't know what valet mode means, but it's gone now. So just for fun, I'm going to actually see if this will remote start now that it's out of valet mode and just see what happens. All right. So it started and turned back off, all with using just my key. All right, so that's good. So we should be in the in a good spot for actually setting this up now. So let me try and get my brake pedal a little more exposed. According to the instructions, we got to get access to the brake pedal here. So, okay, so this sequence seems a little challenging. We'll figure it out. So, turn the key on. Yellow light starts blinking. We're going to hold down the valet button for 5 to 10 seconds, and then the red light will come on. Then what we're going to do is we're going to press the programming button and then release it. Now, we're going to press and release the valet button 5 times after that. And then we're going to press and release the brake pedal on the car and then turn the vehicle off. Oh, I'm a dummy. First, we got to plug in the actual module, I bet. All right, let's try doing that. Logically, that makes sense. If we're not in valet mode, then we can plug this in. All right, so take this. There's no red light that's on here, so that's a good thing. So now what we're going to do, same exact thing again. So we're going to put the key in the ignition. We're going to press and hold this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Press and hold, and then release, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're gonna press and hold and release the brake, and then we're gonna turn the vehicle off. Seconds later, the red light will blink. Could take 60 to 90 seconds. Let's see here. May or may not have done it right. So it's interesting. The sentence isn't written as a complete sentence, but it doesn't explicitly say to press the program button at all. It just says to press and hold until the red light comes on. So I'm actually wondering if I did this incorrectly. So we're going to try this again since I haven't seen it blink yet. So turn that on. Press and hold. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now the red light's on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 presses of the valet. Depress the brake, lift up on the brake, turn the key off. Seconds later, the red light will blink, so it did a couple times and then turned off. The smartphone module is now paired. All right, I think I did it right. I'm gonna set it up on my phone now and see if I can do it from my phone. All right, well, I think I actually got it all good to go. So basically that light, after I only was pressing the valet mode button, so I pressed and held it for 5 to 10 seconds and then waited for the red light to blink. Then I let go, then I pressed it 5 times, beep, 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 beep. 5 times, and then after that I immediately went and I just pressed the brake down and then lifted up. You don't need to hold it or anything. And then I turned my key off. So if you remember at the very beginning, I turned my key on at the very end. Turned the key off, and then within like a split second, it blinked in that little red LED spot next to the programming button, not on the top, on the side. It blinked like 1 or 2, maybe 3 times, and then immediately went dark. And I was like, okay, well, that didn't work. Well, I guess it did. So I just went through the whole process of setting up the app. So go to the App Store, or maybe if you're an Android user, go to the Play Store. Not sure if this is supported by Android, but it probably is. Just go check N2 Design's website. So you go over there, download the app, then you pull up the app and you register, you fill out an account. It'll shoot you an email, so you have to go to your email and click a link so you can set up your password. Once you have that, then you can just log into the app straight away. So once you open up the app and you press that plus button, once you press the plus button, it's going to prompt you to put in the serial number on your cellular module. And so, put that number in on your app. That's going to pull it up. You're going to walk through a couple different things. You have to set the protocol, which is on your paper. Mine was Fortin. You set the protocol, which I think is the communication protocol. And then basically you're good to go. This is like a setup though. It's configuring it. So what I had to do is once you plug in all that information, your vehicle is added to your account, but it's in test mode. So I don't know if at this point you're supposed to do this or not, but I accidentally clicked the unlock button on the screen and the car beeped. And I was like, oh, I guess it works. And so then basically after that, it tells you to go into your My Garage, pull up that car, and it'll show in red letters like release vehicle. So then I went into there, I clicked release vehicle and then release. There's like 2 other options. I think it's cancel and transfer ownership. I didn't click any of those. I just clicked the release button and then the vehicle disappears. And then you go back down and you just go through the same exact thing again. Then you can go in there and you can configure it. I added my vehicle make and model, and now I think the app is all ready to go. So that all to be said now. Haven't put anything back in the vehicle yet. But we'll just zip tie a bunch of this up out of the way. On here, you can see these little tabs on the sides. Those are for zip ties, so I'm going to zip tie this up and out of the way. I don't know if I really need that valet button on there anymore. It comes with a little screw or washer thing on here, so you could drill like a hole through your plastic and mount it up. And then, you maybe could use like a washer or something, and that would allow you to mount this on your plastic nice. Maybe I'll do that in the future, but for now I think I'll just zip tie it up out of the way. And then this is kind of what the app looks like. So this is probably remote start, turn off your vehicle, and then it looks like you can set a timer for it to run, and then you lock and unlock the doors. And I was able to set a black 4Runner up there, and then you add, through that whole process of setting it up, you add the retailer phone number information, which I think is N2 Designs phone number, into the app as well. So it tells you it's an N2 Designs app. So yeah, basically got everything squared away and good to go here. Now I'm just going to put everything back together and enjoy a remote start from my phone and from my key fob. Alright, so I got that panel back in, and I think that should be all good to go. Got the clips back in. Everything's zip tied up here quite nicely. I'm not going to show you because it's pretty cluttered, but it was good enough. And yeah, so now all I'm going to do is finish putting all the covers and everything back on here. This I was able to zip tie up and out of the way, at least enough. So hopefully all the plastic goes on good and we'll be all set. Alright, well, we basically got it all together. Took this opportunity to kind of vacuum out the vehicle a bit. Under the seat we had quite a bit of leftover fall leaves and whatnot in here, so looks good now. I actually just took the seat out to basically make it easier for me to film and, you know, help give a better view for you all. But in reality, I would maybe even recommend taking out the seat. Like, I hate crawling on my back underneath here, and I could just easily get at everything. It was so nice. So that might be something to consider if you're doing this install, to unbolt the seat. Like, and if you have no seat heaters, might be even less clips, but this is just for, I think, the seat heater and then the motorized seat adjustments. So we've got 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4. Unclip these and the seat just pops right out, so it's pretty easy. I'd recommend considering it. As always, shout out to Harbor Freight. I use basically all their tools for doing installs. These are their Icon is one of their tool lines, has a lifetime warranty. Rocking their Hercules power tools. And yeah, a couple of pieces of plastic left to put in here, but we're basically done. Call this install job a wrap. Also, if you didn't notice there at the very end, if you can catch little glimpses, I've got sound deadening and like all the sound insulation, so my doors don't rattle when I slam them, and everything is kind of a little more padded. If you didn't catch that at the very end, I'll link that up somewhere. But yeah, I heavily recommend that. It definitely gave the sound system a little bit better sound, and inside the vehicle's quieter, the doors don't rattle, sorts of stuff like that that I really like about doing that. So, all right, well, that's gonna wrap up this video. I really like the cell phone feature. That basically allows you to do, you know, starting and turning off the vehicle, unlock, lock, all those sorts of things from out of range of your key fob. So, you know, if you forgot your car was locked or unlocked and it's in an area with cell service, you can probably lock it maybe from your office building, whatever it may be. So there's really nice extended range. I'm not sure how long this deal is gonna last, but I think it's just because maybe this is a newer product on the market. But I think the first year of cellular use on there is free, and then it's like $40 a year or something like that, or $4 a month. I think you can pay like one or the other. I don't quite remember. But yeah, I'll have that link down below on 4Runner Lifestyle's website. They kind of lay this out a little bit more. So yeah, go check that all out. And if you don't want the cellular add-on, you can just do the normal key start kit. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of the support, and I will catch you all in the next video.